Okay. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode. I am so excited today. We have my in-laws, this is mom and dad, and today we are going to be asking them questions because they are celebrating their 49th wedding anniversary. So this is very special because we've only been married for 2 seconds, and my husband's going to do the interview with me. So stay tuned as we go through 49 years of marriage. Okay, so if you make a mistake, just pause and then start the answer again because then I can edit. Don't speak back or back or back. Just
Okay.
come in, okay? Okay. Are you going to say we're going to chat about their love story, how they make it work all the years, and get some advice? We're excited to learn from them, and we hope you all enjoy this. Are you going to say that I said?
Where do you see that?
Yeah. We want to chat with them about their love story.
Okay.
Are you going to
So
say that? Yeah. Now you must first breathe and then talk.
Mundala. So you want to no, man, I can't just not do that.
Okay,
I
I'll say.
can't memorize it.
Okay. So today we're going to be chatting about the 49 years of marriage, how they met, their love story, and obviously how they've made it work since they've been together for almost 50 years. We're going to ask them a series of questions. They don't really know the questions, so we're excited to see what the answers are.
Okay, cool. So question number one. So mom and dad, how did you two first meet, and what was the first impression of each other?
Must I go first? Okay. We both grew up in the same town. We had our childhood days in Yugi, beautiful town, where it was easy to fall in love, but I didn't fall in love with her in Yugi. She taught in a place called Herzog in the Stockholm area, and I taught in East London. And we started a school sports structure. And obviously, she came with the schools in Herzog, and I came with the schools from East London. And being two people from the same place, we always looked up for each other's company. And I think that's where it started.
Is it where it started, Josh?
And what was your first impression? What was your first impression as well of each other when you met?
You must go on.
Yeah, he was a very sporty guy. Had a six pack.
Yay.
Was very fit, and yeah, always in charge of the sports teams. And anything went wrong, they were usually looking for Petforsen. And yeah, I just saw that he was the main guy in the sporting fraternity that started.
That is so cute. Okay.
Okay.
So looking back at almost 50 years of marriage, what would you say is the most important thing that's kept you together all this time? What has kept you guys grounded?
I would hesitate to say that it is prayer.
Mm.
We prayed a lot all the years, and I think being on our knees kept us close to God. And it also helped us in many of our attitudes and the different, how can I say, different seasons in our life.
Mm.
Obviously, nothing ever goes smoothly.
Yeah.
And we have learned to address issues, and we prayed in the morning. And
You
I
guys
think,
prayed together.
yeah, we
Yeah.
prayed together. Even when the children were born, they had to come and pray in the lounge with us
Okay.
before the day starts. And I believed in that because when you put the day ahead of you in God's hands,
Yeah.
obviously you're going to, irrespective of what difficulties you go through, you know you're not alone in that situation.
Yeah.
So I think that helped us. We started off with prayer so the day was in God's hand, and it doesn't matter what happened during the day. We were certain that we never alone.
Yeah. Wasn't it awkward? I can pray with Reese. We do pray together, but not every day. But sometimes it's like so intimate when you pray. When you pray in front of your husband, you get shy. Are you guys not shy
No,
to pray in front of each other?
no, we're not. And even the children also used to pray. They had their turns to pray with
Okay.
us. And so
So
it
something
is just,
comfortable.
yeah, even like now when we go together on our
Yes.
knees at night. We didn't do it now in the day.
Yeah.
But at night we pray. But and I think the reason why we pray is also, as I said, no relationship is just smooth sailing. So with us, if you have an argument or whatever, we know our relationship with God is clear,
Yeah.
and you know in your heart what you've done. And
Mm.
when you do something, you're always aware that God is in control of it.
Okay.
So, uh, being praying together
Mm.
helped us also to address issues and not persons. You don't go to the repeat things that happen. You always like that, and you always did that.
Yeah.
We know that we address that particular issue we're arguing
Mm.
about, and we address that issue. And I think that is the advice that we would like to give anybody
Mm.
if they in their marriage. Is just to do your things. When you do it with
Mm.
God, you're gonna do it with a proper honesty,
Yeah.
because you can't lie to God. You know it is.
Yeah.
He knows everything. So when you're honest and you're sincere, and all that we get because we pray together.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the areas that we need to look at.
Yeah, no, I think the second question is pretty
Yeah.
much follows up on that. It speaks about growing up in a strong Christian, faithful home. And the question was like, how do you see that shape your marriage? But I think
Mm.
that fell into that as well.
And even communication, obviously, Uncle Pat saying, you guys, even if you had a miscommunication, because you
Mm.
pray, you address the situation, not each other.
Yeah. And it's difficult when you have an argument, and you're going to have arguments. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
Yeah.
But even if we have an argument, when it's time to pray, then that argument is forgotten, and we pray about it. We pray. And we're
So
not.
you prayed regardless of how you felt. If you had a good day, a bad day,
Yeah, it doesn't
you always
matter.
pray.
Yeah, we pray. So even if we argue, the one stuff can say, I'm not going to pray tonight.
Okay.
We pray together, and that is how we grow up, and
Mm.
that's how we live our lives. And I think prayer helps us in many things, because you, as I said, it calms yourself.
Yeah.
Your relationship with God is clear,
Mm.
and you know that when you pray, that you render everything to Him, and your forgiveness is to God, and God forgives, and He taught us how to forgive, and so we forgive, and we make many mistakes, both of us.
Yeah.
The next one is, what's the best piece of marriage advice you've ever received, and what would you pass on to us as a younger couple? What's the best advice you have received? Let's start there.
Do you want first? Can I go? I don't want to say too much. I know what the first is. Can I start? Can I say? Okay. Now, I think even because of my close relationship with God, I think everything was there about that.
Yeah.
I always surrounded myself with people very close to God. So in my cell groups, in my church relationships, even in my sport, we prayed before every match. It was like that, and we could see people change. It was lovely, and we had this youth groups and everything. So surround yourself with positive people is one of the things. The second thing is uh, never to do anything in your own strength. Always use God with you. And I think one of the pieces of advice I have received is that I think when we prayed, I was serving on the church council at the time at Good Shepherd, and Uncle Papsi Chuckles, and they bought me a mat, a small little mat that was a kneeling mat, and we said you use that to pray, and you use that to pray until that mat was no more. So,
And is it
so
no
it
more?
just thought, yeah, the mat is gone. I mean, many years already. But I mean, the fact is that they have taught you to pray,
Yes.
and I think that is the most important part.
And Auntie Ush, did no one give you advice before you got married?
Yeah.
My mother gave a good advice. She said, "Tell her to get into sports."
Yeah. Marrying a sportsman was not the easiest thing. You know, he didn't just belong to one code of sport, he belonged to a lot. About every code that you can find. And yeah, I've now learned that when you get married to the person, and when you fall in love, you fall in love with the person. And in my case, it was like a sportsman. And it was like very difficult for me to, like, like you take a chicken's head and turn it around, let it face the other way. It was hard. We were, in our time that we grew up, like, and got married, you were like sort of We waited 2 years to have our first child. Not that
Mm.
we didn't want children, but it was because we lived in a small place and we were planning. But it was talk of East London already that what's happening.
Oh, must you have kids
You
soon?
must have kids, or else there must be something wrong.
Yeah.
So we were like under tremendous. I can remember coming home from school one
Mm.
day crying because the principal asked me, "But Kandan, why are you not pregnant yet?"
Mm.
And then when I told him about it, he said, "Are you gonna have children to please people, or are you gonna have children, to suit our circumstances?" So,
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, then we had our first son after
Mm.
2 years, and carrying a baby was also not an easy thing for me to do.
Mm.
I was like sick from the very first day until the day I gave birth.
Sure.
So it was not easy, and with a sportsman never at home,
Mm.
and you've got to go through a lot of these things all by yourself was
Mm.
not always very easy. And
Yeah.
then I think we were married for not a week, and I was left alone. And then I mean, a lot of things come through your head. Was it a good thing to marry a sportsman?
Yeah.
But I can remember I went to his mom and then I told his mom he belongs to this club and that club and that club and that club and that club. Then she asked me, did he join it just like recently, or did you meet him like that? So I said, no, he belonged to the rugby and the hockey and the soccer when I met him. And then she said to me, sit with your baby. And there I realized that I have to sit with my baby. I've got to work it